sir. That's
I'm just listening, definitely listening.
yes. Apurva?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So, very good evening, everyone. I request everyone to please mute themselves. So, very good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Apurva, and I welcome you all on behalf of Journal of Psychiatry Spectrum Committee, along with Indian Psychiatric Society Karnataka chapter, for this Wednesday scholarly online academic series of How to Write a Paper series. And for today's session, today's session is going to be on how to write results and table section, for which we are very lucky to have Dr. Rajshekhar Bipeta, and the session would be moderated by Dr. Johnson Pradeep. So before we go for the session, I would first request Dr. TSS Rao, Chair of the Journal Governing Committee, to kindly say a few words.
Good evening, all, and I'm extremely happy that I had a long discussion with Dr. Vijay Harbishacha, and his energy, enthusiasm, and involvement is something so strong and infectious. I'm really very happy that it is there in the right hand, and not only just editing, but preparing people to get knowledgeable, understand the issues involved, and participate in the development of the journal is something extremely good. Some of the earlier interactions with the whole range of aspects related to the journal publication, in particular articles or the data, how actually to put it, progress, these are all very important, because young people, this is one of the area which is missing very significantly. They will be searching for so many sources, but everything to get it in one particular place and in some particular order is something highly valuable. And I must really congratulate each and everyone involved in this particular process. I'm aware of Dr. Rajshekhar Bipeta's contribution, because single-handedly he started a journal, progressed it so well, and now he's occupying the helm of zonal journal. And his contribution and maybe learning from him would be really valuable. And I wish everyone a good time, good learning, and let us all join together in the progress of what we basically call knowledge. All the best.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. I request Dr. Ravindra Monoli to please introduce our today's moderator. I'll put up the slides.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Apura. Before we introduce today's moderator, we acknowledge the presence and support of IPS-KC. Our president, Dr. Anil Kumar, is there, and other office bearers are there. We welcome you, and thanks IPS-KC and president and all the office bearers for the constant support. Now it's my privilege to introduce Johnson Pradeep, sir. Sir is professor and head Department of Psychiatry at St. John's Medical College and Hospital. Also head Division of Mental Health and Neurosciences at St. John's. Sir completed advanced course in research methodology and statistics. Currently faculty at the Department of Medical Ethics and Institutional Ethics Committee. Over 18 years of clinical teaching and research experience with expertise in community psychiatry, mental health in non-communicable diseases, alcohol and tobacco use disorders, and ADHD biomarkers. Sir has been principal investigator and co-investigator on major ICMR and NIH-funded mental health studies. Sir has more than 70 publications in high-impact international journals. Sir is recipient of multiple awards. The recent ones include, as we all know, Kadabam's Distinguished Psychiatrist Award. Sir leads the community mental health programs, tobacco control initiatives, and capacity building workshops across India. We are lucky to have Sir as one of the a resource person for our sessions, and also Sir is available and accessible to us for many sessions. Also, Sir enthusiastically still continues to present in various conferences. It's motivating for all the young psychiatrists. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Back to you, Apurva.
Thank you, Dr. Ravindra
Thank you,
Monoli.
sir. So shall we start with today's session, or
We can.
Okay, sir. So I now request our moderator, Dr. Johnson, to please introduce our speaker and take over the session.
Sure. So, first of all, I would like to thank IPS-KC, because this is a very, in our time, we all learned a very difficult way. No, you would have, I mean, based on our mentors, we would have learned a lot of things. But I'm so happy that at least our IPS-KC has taken this initiative to help our postgraduates and budding young psychiatrists to learn research methodology. Not many institutes have come forward and helped, but this is a very great initiative. So I would like to thank all the office bearers, Dr. Ravindra Monoli, Dr. Anil, Dr. T.S.S. Rao, all of them for supporting us in this endeavor. So it's very important that the knowledge what we have gained should be shared to our young faculty members. And I'm really happy to introduce Dr. Rajshekhar Bipeta today. He's a professor and head Department of Psychiatry, Government Medical College, Medak at Telangana. He was a former professor and deputy superintendent of IMH. We also know that editor-in-chief is an editor-in-chief an Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine, and we know how rigorous Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine is, and we are very anxious submitting articles to IGPM because it is straightforward and no, it is not very easy publishing, and so that is the level of rigorous kind of screening they do. He's also an advisor to our Karnataka Journal of Psychiatric Spectrum and also associate editor of the Psychosexual Health and board member of multiple national psychiatric journals. He's also a co-investigator on national projects including NMHS Megacity Survey, chairman and co-chair for major IPS publication committees. He's also member Asian Council of Science Editors and European Association of Science Editors. And research is the main research mission is to strengthen psychiatric research. We have a transparent peer review and high quality publications. With this significant contribution of Dr. Rajshekhar Bipeta, I would like to introduce him to take today's session on results and how to write results. I'm expecting a great talk by him. Thank you, sir. And if any questions are there, I think you can put it in the chat box or uh, we can take it up in the end of the session.
Respected moderator, sir, Dr. Pradeep, thank you for speaking such great about me, which however I'm not so. And I really thank Indian Psychiatric Society Karnataka branch for inviting me to speak on this session. And more than speaking, actually, I have actually learned during this presentation new things I have learned for past few days when Dr. Vijay had kindly invited me to speak on this topic. And I especially wish to thank Dr. Anil and Dr. Manoli and all the office bearers of IPS Karnataka branch and also Dr. Vijay Harbishitya and most importantly, Dr. T.S.S. Rao. Yeah, whenever I meet sir, I tell him that he has shown the path for publishing in India because I always tell this whenever I talk about IJP anywhere in the world to whomever I meet that around even 20 years back, IJP used to be in the Institute of Psychiatry, London. Now everything is online, but 20 to 25 years back also it used to be in the IOP. So it is such a high quality journal and T.S.S. Rao sir has really taken it forward so well and he has a torch bearer and he has shown all of us as to how to actually take the journal forward. So thank you very much, sir. So now I'm going to start my presentation. And thank you, Manoli, most importantly, because he has been really doing a lot of work. I know that behind this Wednesday webinar sessions. So thank you. So I'm going to talk about scientific manuscript writing. I have been asked only to talk about the results and tables, but one or two things I will also talk about figures because figures are essential part of results. So results are the heart of a scientific paper. It is not that so because I am doing this presentation, but that is what when I was referring articles or PPTs related to this particular seminar or webinar, this is what most of the literature says, or most of the evidence says, that results are the heart of the scientific paper and they are very, very important, or the core of the manuscript. So it is very important that data in the results section should be presented appropriately. Here, I would like to give an example. Around last year, I was invited by the RCBC, the Research Capacity Building Committee of Tamil Nadu, to be a speaker in one of their sessions. So what happened exactly there was, they had actually asked me to present one of my own papers, which I had published, say, around 10, 15 years back. So I was really so delighted to see that one of the presenters, who was actually a postgraduate for final year, he had actually critically evaluated my paper and told, sir, there is actually a discrepancy between what you had reported in the text and what is there in the tables. So though my paper had actually undergone peer review, it was published in an international quality high level journal, but still there was something which I missed. So what I'm trying to say here is, it is very, very important to ensure that things should be consistent across the manuscript. So what we present in the results section should be there everywhere same. For example, if we are saying P is equal to 0.123 for something, same thing in some other place should not be written in a wrong way. So it has to be consistent. So what is the purpose of results section? The purpose is to report our findings, and it should follow from the methods we employed. For example, if we have used HAM-D as a depression severity rating instrument in our methodology section, suddenly, if out of the blue, we should not talk about MADRS. And before actually proceeding further, I wanted to say something to all the participants. I think all of us, including me, we are active researchers. We also want to publish our articles in various journals. Many times people think that editors want to reject articles. Unfortunately, that is not true. None of the editors want to reject articles. They reject articles, most important reason being because of lack of novelty. Second is if the presentation of the paper is not as per the journal guidelines. So we should remember that editor actually is a human being who is sitting on the other side, and he also wants things to be in a proper way. Unfortunately, many times what happens is, this is a very, very common thing what people do, is I have presented that in one of the slides. They have done some thesis as a part of their post-graduation. What they immediately do is, they'll just submit the whole thesis as a manuscript. So there will be 101 tables, 101 figures, and everything will be in the manuscript. And when editor returns it after disk review saying that, okay, please revise your result section 1 or times, 2 times, 3 times, then actually authors get vexed up and they start saying that actually editors are not cordial. So we have to understand that manuscript writing is different from writing a thesis. So I had a very good opportunity last time during IPSCon 2024 to be a part of the workshop which Dr. Vijay Harbishiter had conducted at NIMHANS. There they have actually they had asked the students to get their theses, and there were a lot of mentors. So that is what was being discussed there. That thesis is different from manuscript. Manuscript is actually an offshoot of thesis. That does not mean that we should just import our thesis into the editorial submission system. So this is a very, very important point I want to make here. And editors are not enemies. Please understand all that. Okay. So the results should help answer the questions which have been posed. And what are the most common things which are included in results? Tables, figures. There are a lot of other things which can be included, but mostly we'll be talking about tables and figures. It should summarize findings rather than providing detailed data. See, when we do the analysis, there will be a lot of data, but that cannot be condensed in a manuscript. So what is relevant? What is the important findings, whether they are positive or negative, which is actually in response to the research question which we had put at the start of the thesis, the research work should be addressed here. So no need to actually put the whole data into your manuscript. It should present the results, but not comment them. This is another very common mistake what authors do. When they are presenting the data, in the results section, they immediately start discussing and commenting about the results, which is not correct. The commenting, the interpretations, comparing it with the previous or studies, all has to be done in the discussion section, not in the result. So what is result section? Result section is basically presentation of the factual data in statistical terms. So that is results. So why results matter in research? Because this is a core evidence. It provides foundation, supporting the study's claims and conclusions. It builds credibility, means it establishes trust and maximizes the impact and clinical context. Here, actually, I have not talked about much this in presentation. Few of the journals actually, even though it is a quantitative data, for example, if it was on 100 sample, what actually they also like sometimes is to just take some case illustration, one particular, for example, if it is a bipolar disorder study, say, for example, the efficacy of lamotrigine in bipolar, whatever it is. So one particular patient as a case vignette, they actually sometimes encourage authors to put into the data. So this is not very commonly seen, but that is what few journals actually encourage, meaning the clinical context, sometimes editors want how the particular paper is useful from the clinical context. So that is also sometimes can be put somewhere in the results section and further into the discussion. Now, talking about the anatomy of results section, what are the basic principles, fundamental principles of results? Present your findings objectively without interpretation or speculation. Don't interpret your findings. Don't provide any speculation about your findings. Use clear subheadings to guide the readers through complex data sets. So rather than actually putting the whole data as a big result section, we can actually divide. We can organize it logically. I will talk about that a little later. But how do we generally organize? First, we should talk about the primary outcome. Means what was our main objective of the study, or primary outcome of the study, means which addresses the main hypothesis and also the key findings. Second, we can talk about the secondary analysis, means what is the supporting evidence and the subgroup results. Last is the exploratory data, any other additional insights or patterns we found in our studies, which was actually not part of our original, which was not actually our primary or secondary objective. So something which we found additionally, but which was something significant, either positively or negative, that can be put towards the end. So that is how we can organize.
Screen is stuck and can't hear any.
Oh, is it? You can't hear? Hello?
Hi, yes, sir, yes. Now it's visible.
Yeah. No, I did not change the slide. Okay. So basically, it means there are sometimes we can divide it into subheadings: socio-demographics, clinical data, depression severity, the clinical global impression severity. Like that, sometimes we can have subheadings and we can describe the results. So there is one particular case vignette. So this was a particular study about bipolar affective disorder, rapid cycling. So what they did at baseline, they have reported about frequent mood episodes of the patients around 8 to 12 per year. Outcome was significant stabilization achieved. So P actually is shown as less than 0.01. So what was the intervention? A novel mood stabilizer protocol was actually was initiated. So this is how sometimes a particular case can be included into a particular. So this is what I was talking about, a clinical context. Sometimes like in taking one particular patient and putting into the data. So something like that can be shown. Now, what are the tips for an effective writing of results? It should be clear and it should be precise. And always remember, this is very, very important. Most of the things what I have referred to for past few days tells that results have to be reported in past tense. So we have already completed this study. This is not a study protocol. This is a study which is already over. The language of the results, the grammar should be it should be in past tense. What was that? The difference was not statistically significant. It should not be difference is not statistically significant. So this is important. So past tense, and many journals actually want authors to write in active voice. Report complete statistics, include the exact p-values, confidence intervals, effect sizes. Everything should be clearly displayed. Avoid redundancy. This is another very, very important point. So this is what I was telling. When thesis actually is transformed into a manuscript, what people do, because just to increase the number of pages in a thesis to say 100 or 150, whatever was presented in tables and figures, we put in the text also. But when we are doing a manuscript, we should not have redundancy. So don't repeat the data which is there in the text into the tables and figures. Use tables only if text will not suffice. This is another very important point. So please remember, even from the editor's perspective, from the publisher's perspective, we have limited space in a journal because everything actually boils down onto sponsorship from various agencies. So we have, for example, take our journal, Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine. Each issue we have only 100 papers. So we cannot have so many tables and figures. So if something can be actually put into a text, better don't put in tables and figures, is what I was trying to tell in this particular figure. So results. So what is results? What did I find? Describe the sample. Who were they? For example, this particular, they were around, the total sample size was 200. Males predominated, 72%. And the mean age was 32.2, plus minus 2.3 years. So like that. So this everything can go into the text section instead of putting it to the tables of figures. What is the response rate? Response rate basically means something like an attrition. So my initial people, the number of people whom I recruited was 130, but 30 were lost. For example, if it is a follow-up study, or say, for example, initially we recruited 130 people, participants, 30 people did not actually sign the consent form. So what many journals actually want is they want a flow chart. So it is a very good way of presenting your data, and it actually increases the transparency of our manuscript. So a flow chart, how many were the total people screened? What was the total number who actually fulfilled the inclusion-exclusion criteria? What was the attrition, especially in a follow-up study? All that should be displayed. Outputs, what are the results of my analysis? And please remember, when we do a quantitative study, we use the word results. And we do a qualitative study, we use the word findings. So this is a very important thing. Actually, I did not know this. Only today when I was preparing this presentation, I came to know this. So results when we use a quantitative data, findings when you use a qualitative study. For example, you want to have lived experiences of caregivers of patients with schizophrenia. We have say, for example, 20 was the sample size. So when we are reporting the data, it should be, these are the findings of that qualitative study. So how much information? Now the question comes, I have told that there should not be any overlap between figures and tables on one hand in the text, but there can be some exceptions. For example, if there's a very, very important point, actually that is the main aspect of the study, that probably you can still repeat here and there. And also sometimes you really find that, okay, for example, data is very, very statistically significant, and you find that putting in the text as well as the table and figure will actually make a sense. So it is an exception where you can repeat. But the rule of thumb, don't repeat the data here and there. So mentioning the tables and figures within the text. So this is a very good example. When we cite tables and figures, emphasize the finding, not the table or figure. They have just given an example. The sentence is, table 3 shows that researchers who attended the workshop published twice as many papers per year. So a better way of writing this is, researchers who attended the workshop published twice as many papers per year. So they have put table 3 in towards the end of the sentence. So here, if you see in the first sentence, the emphasis is on the table, while in the second sentence, the emphasis is on the finding. So what they say is, put an emphasis on the finding rather than on the table or the figure. So this is a better way of writing. Now, how to create effective tables? Summarize the data. Tables, as soon as we see this is a very, very another important statement. Under the tables and figures should be understandable without the text. Just imagine your manuscript, one page of your manuscript is actually lying on the road with only one page which actually has a table. So suppose the header of the table just says sociodemographic details. Another aspect is sociodemographic details of the schizophrenia patients who had comorbid OCD. N is equal to 100. So the same thing has been actually put in two different formats. So what we mean by understandable without the text means the table and figure should have a meaning independent of the manuscript. So that is what is meant by understandable. But despite telling this repeatedly to the authors, unfortunately, authors continue to neglect this aspect. So this is a very important take-home message of my presentation today. So it should be self-explanatory. So the title should be clear, the legend should be clear, footnotes ensure that they stand alone and should be interpretable. Follow the journal guidelines. Another very, very common thing. What happens, for example, if you see Indian Journal of Psychiatry, it is by Medno. Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine is by Indian Journal of Psychology by Sage. Suppose the paper is rejected by IJP. So what authors generally do? They, without even actually formatting the paper, they immediately send it to IJPM without bothering about the journal guidelines. So which is not correct. But something what can happen, for example, the Journal Psychiatric Spectrum, I think it is also in Medno. Then probably the guidelines are same. But when you are submitting it to another publisher, the guidelines may be totally different. So don't expect that actually editor will be sitting there and doing all the formatting part. Okay. So though IJP and Journal Psychiatric Spectrum belong to the same publisher, still sometimes there will be some certain differences. So always the rule of thumb, it is actually the Bible of the, the word of the Bible is always, always, always follow the manuscript submission guidelines, author guidelines of the journal to which you are submitting a paper. That is a very, very important message. So formatting and statistical reporting should be as per the journal standards. Now, what are the table design principles? Only essential data which directly support our hypothesis. There should be a logical row and column arrangement. Here, a lot of journals have different ways. Sometimes few journals actually ask us to remove the upper line. Some journals ask us to shade inside. Mostly production editors do that, but it is always a good idea to at least try to refer to a sample article from the journal. Now, if you see Journal Psychiatry Spectrum or IJP or IJPM, these are all open access journals. So we can actually refer to a latest article and see how they have actually formatted. I always say the best way to write a paper is to format your paper as per the editor's paper. So editors won't do mistakes mostly. So if your editor of that journal actually has contributed, especially as a first author, as a corresponding author to a particular paper, so probably we can take that as a sample. So that is the best way. So there should be a logical row and column arrangement. Please remember, it should not be haphazard. Sometimes there's one particular article submitted to a journal. So many times I have returned it to the authors. There's total misalignment. So there are 10 rows. Each row, there's total, the columns and rows, total misalignment. So many times I have written to the author. So the latest mail I have sent to the author saying that it has actually been, I'm about to accept that paper now. It's already 4 or 5 months. It's a good article actually. But then, see, once it comes into the public domain, it actually goes into the PubMed. There's a problem because impact factor and all that depends on the way a particular paper is formatted. So we cannot have an article, even though it is an excellent article, but which is not written properly. So last time I have sent a message saying that this is the last chance. If you don't refine it further, we are going to reject the article. We have actually rejected the articles. So that is what I think Pradeep sir also was mentioning. So please remember that having said that, we are not enemies. We actually want to see that the article improves and also the journal also improves. And always highlight the significance. For example, in tables and figures, suppose your P is say 0.003. So you can probably darken it, put it in bold. So it can actually highlight the particular finding saying that it is statistically significant. Now, coming to figures, there are various ways, graphs, diagrams, maps, photographs, etc. Use it only if they convey useful information. Again, a very, very important word of caution here. This I have learned from Dr. Dennis Xavier. Sir is one of the very important faculty member of this brief course in psychiatric research, which is being held by RCBC every year. I never knew this. During one of his presentations, sir told, in academic research, means biomedical journals, pie charts, pie diagrams are not allowed. So this is very, very important. Pie diagrams are not allowed in biomedical journals. So you can actually better convert those into some other type of table. You can either show as bar diagrams or whatever it is, but not as pie diagrams. Avoid including too much information. Sometimes so much information will be there in figure that we don't understand. Lettering is very important because, okay, you would have probably submitted a figure in a particular size, but when the production editor is actually trying to improve the figure for publication, it may lose a lot of information if they are trying to increase or decrease the image. So the lettering and other aspects of the figure should be very, very clear. So this is another case, Vinay. Say for example, here in this particular bar diagram, they have shown how at various time points, baseline, week 4, week 8, and week 12, how the MDD severity is actually decreasing. So I think all of you must be knowing, but just for the sake of completion, I'm just trying to show, like with different colors, how they have actually shown how the MDD scores are reducing. So this is how we can actually depict. What are the common pitfalls in results and tables? Data is too much overloaded. Tables are crammed with excessive data, unrelated outcomes. Lot of omissions will be there. Example, there won't be any mention of what statistical test was used. It's a very good way. Suppose you have done some comparisons, you can actually mention there in the header of the table that you have used chi-square test or man-Whitney U test or something, whatever it is. So that's a good idea to mention the statistical test used as a header of the table or even as a footer. As a footnote also you can mention, depends on the journal guidelines. So effect sizes, everything should be mentioned because many times these things are missing from the articles. Premature interpretation. Again, I was trying to say, don't discuss any points here. It is for the discussion section. Visual storytelling is about, we can actually sometimes, for example, though you have presented a data, say in a tabular form, sometimes it is a very good idea to actually show in some other form so that we can actually have a better view of how the things are improving. So especially if you are doing a Pearson correlation or if you are doing some subgroup analysis, you can actually show a visual representation of the data. Example can be a Kaplan-Meier survival curve, wherein you are actually studying how many patients with schizophrenia have relapsed during the treatment. So there, sometimes you can use such curves. This is another case, Vinay, wherein there are actually, this is the group. This was a study wherein they have done some intervention with cognitive remediation therapy. So this group had pre-treatment, there was cognitive impairment on various aspects, working memory, processing speed, executive functioning. So there was some baseline score, and post-treatment, there's a significant improvement. If you see here with asterisks, they have put 3 asterisks here, and now here it says P less than 0.05 compared to baseline. So this is how a good table should appear. Reporting negative or null results, very, very important, because many times, especially younger researchers feel that only that data which is confirming to the earlier research should be reported, which is wrong. I don't know whether that journal is still existing, but I remember around 10, 15 years back, there was a journal which the title of the journal was Journal of Negative Studies. So even in our studies, we can actually sometimes we should report negative results. It actually increases the confidence of the readers and the editors in publishing our article. Why it is important? Because it improves transparency, it reduces publication bias, it has huge future research direction. It can lead to future research direction, and it can ultimately lead to improved patient outcomes. Because if you have done a study which has negative results, if you don't report, suppose if the study is related to some treatment aspect, some antidepressant something, if you do not report, there's a likelihood that a drug may come into the market. So it has got a huge implication for patient care. Also, it prevents redundant studies. For example, I remember there was a particular, I think I can discuss this because it's more than 15 years back. I was sub-investigator for one of the studies at IMH. So this was a long study, which was by one of the international, it was a global sponsor. So there were 2 studies which are going on bipolar disorder. So there was one particular study which was restricted to US, UK and all that. And another, the same study was being conducted in other parts of the country, South Asian countries and all that. So in those particular study which were there, they were doing in developed countries, they found that this particular drug is actually found to be useful in preventing the mania, but not depression. So they have actually stopped this study. So in our countries, India and other countries, the sponsor decided to stop this study. So that is what I was trying to say. It is very important to report the negative data because it can have huge financial implications. It can also have huge implications in the terms of patient care. So how to present? Always report within the statistical context. So just because 3 is more than 2 does not mean it is significant. So only when it is statistically significant, it merits a mention. So I was studying about specifying the tests. This is what is very important. We should report exact p-values. For example, p is equal to 0.021 is what the editors want, not p less than 0.05. This does not have any meaning. So most of us are actually interested in this. But there's lot of manipulations can happen here. Editors and policymakers are interested in this. So probably what we can do is this thing we can mention all this in the results section and all that. So P less than 0.05, probably somewhere in the discussion section where again, there does not make any sense to keep on repeating all this. This probably can be restricted to discussion section and all that. And always address multiple comparisons because they report appropriate corrections. So what is the goal of reporting? It is not just statistical significance, but clinical meaningfulness. Okay. So clinically meaningful and methodological rigor also is very, very important, not just P less than 0.05. So this is what I was telling. Always format your article, the tables and figures as per the journals of author instructions. Now, many journals actually provide templates. Medno has a template. Sage does not have its own templates, but Medno provides templates for all sorts of articles. As soon as we log into the web page, to the submission system, we can always, this is what I was telling, always refer to a latest sample paper. At least I always do this. I refer to the latest sample paper. We can sometimes use certain formatting tools because we are living in with a lot of technology around. So we can always use formatting tools. This is what I was saying, verify consistency, always double check alignment between text, tables, figures. So there should not be any discrepancy here and there. So again, there are various ways of organizing the result section. It can be either chronological or it can be the most important one first, coming to the least important, or sometimes it can be sociodemographics first, the clinical aspects first, second, then it can be the treatment aspects, prognostic aspects. So that is how we can even divide. So it depends actually how you want to organize the data. So this is the standard instructions we have from our journal, Indian Psychological Medicine. Headings should be detailed, self-explanatory, stand independent of the full text. Another thing, in the table, if the data is very, very small, alignment is not a big issue. We can actually go to a Microsoft Word. There's an alignment section where we can go mid. But if there's huge data in the table, they say that you should always align it to the left side. So the table looks very, very good. Many times I have seen authors putting bullets inside the table. I had a big problem with one of the authors. Despite me telling some 3-4 times, they did not remove the bullets from the table. Then again, we had given a warning. Abbreviations, another very, very common thing. Despite telling many times, people do not provide abbreviations. I had a problem with abbreviations. There was one particular paper I had submitted to an international journal. Throughout the paper, I had used the word POCD. So it was actually a paper on pediatric OCD. So I used the abbreviation POCD. So then I got a comment from the editor saying that please do not use that abbreviation because there's a confusing another abbreviation called PCOD. So always use appropriate abbreviations which are standardized or accepted. Otherwise, in principle, for example, okay, there's no point actually RCT. There's no point need to give abbreviation to put a full form for RCT. But for example, I was giving an example of POCD. It does not make any sense. So such particular abbreviation should be expanded below the tables and the figures. That is how the tables and figures should be standalone. Headers should be above. Many times there are no headers for the tables. Authors just submit it like that. There are no headers. Sometimes the headers of the table are there, but they are below the tables. Lot of mistakes. draw directly into the Microsoft Word. This is another problem. Recently, there was a paper. I was just about to accept the paper, and the whole table was spread onto the Microsoft Word. I had so much of difficulty actually to format. So then I had to revert it back to the authors, asking them to redraw. Please remember, always, this is a constant instructions across journals. Draw tables and figures directly onto the Microsoft Word. Many times authors just import the table images onto the Microsoft Word, which is not again wrong, correct. We should directly draw it onto the Microsoft Word. Or if at all we are drawing some images, they should be very, very clear. Because I was telling, when production editors do the changes, they find it very difficult. So to put it simple, tables and figures should be simple, crisp, readable, and formatted as per journal guidance. Delete all unnecessary details. This is very important. Unnecessary lot of details we'll be putting in. No, it does not make any sense to have so many details. They should not be lengthy. Tables and figures should not be lengthy. Sometimes we feel so compelled. Recently, there was a paper submitted. It is now accepted for publication in a journal. Good article. So two very good reviewers have actually given very positive comments on the paper. But there are 10 tables in that paper. So each aspect they have done the analysis. I said, fine, no problem, no issue. Please submit all that as supplementary online material. So if the tables and figures are very, very lengthy, large, we cannot, because of various restraints, financial and other restraints, space restraints, we cannot have it in the print version. So we can actually upload them as supplementary online material. Supplementary online material means it will be available on the website. So as a Microsoft Word or whatever the editor prefers, so whoever is interested can actually see this supplementary online material. And don't label your tables and figures as 1A, 1B, 1C. So this is another clever thing what authors do. Because we have said, for example, for IJPM, for both original and review articles, the total number of tables and or figures, not and. Tables or figures is 6. So what people do, 1A, 1B, 1B, 2B, 2C, 3D, 4D, like that. So that is not correct. So it should be only 1, 2, 3, 4. Adhere to the number allowed. Please do not exceed the numbers. This all irritates the editors. It irritates the editor. Even if the paper is very good, it irritates. Do not include both in the main document separately. This is another common mistake what people do. They include the tables and figures in the text as well as submit it. They upload it separately. So the editor is really confused. What is the difference between this and that? So for our journal, the standard instruction is do not include tables and figures within the text. Upload each table and figure separately as a separate file. There is another reason for that. Sometimes the peer reviewer would say that, okay, this particular table is really not needed for the manuscript, for this particular paper. So we can actually take a decision not to include it. So that is a very important decision. Also, sometimes when we are doing a plagiarism check, there also it is very important for us to see, like, for example, this plagiarism check also is not free. So, for example, there are certain reporting guidelines, TOB and all that, which may not need plagiarism check. So we actually would, when we are doing a plagiarism check, we'll exclude all these reporting guidelines from the check. So it is always a good idea to include each table and figure separately as separate things. Also, it gives the chance to the editor to decide whether it can be actually included as a supplementary online material. I remember this pediatric OCD paper, what I had told, there were around 20 tables and figures, which I had submitted to an international journal and it was rejected. So they told me very clearly, please reduce it. So when then I start with the statistician, they refined everything and ultimately it got published in another very good journal. So please restrict the number of tables and figures. So this was another table actually, which I have drawn from this particular journal, Biochemical Research something, published in 2022. Essential Guide to Manuscript Writing for Academic Dummies. What do editors think? This is the editor's perspective. In this particular, this thing is for all. They have talked about pitfalls in introduction, results, discussion, all that. So because my presentation is only about results, so these are the things about results. Common mistakes authors make in their manuscripts regarding results. Results written in present tense, results not related to the objectives of the study are mentioned, redundancy, incorrect statistical test use, for example. Some test is used in the text, but something else is reported in the table. Overlapping of information, this is what I was telling, very, very important. Unnecessary citations. Many times what authors do is they'll provide numbers, reference numbers inside the tables and figures. In principle, that is not allowed. In principle, there are certain rare exceptions. For example, if there's something you have provided something in the footnote. In a footnote, sometimes you can put references, but within the text of the tables and figures, citations are not allowed. Stratified and biased use of data is another mistake. Wrong interpretation of statistical analysis, missing essential details of the analyzed data, missing data and values in the tables. It is also said, just now, some around 10 minutes prior to this presentation, I was reading this particular paper. There it was mentioned, don't leave a cell empty. Better put a dash or something. So don't leave any cell empty. Always it is very important that we should provide measurement units. What measurement unit is there? And multiple formats of the statistical significance are used. For example, P is equal to 0.05. So these are the various mistakes this particular Aga and Nisar have pointed out in this particular article. Actually, I want to read the whole manuscript now. It's a very good paper. So again, I have drawn this table from Elsevier's website. This is how they are saying. So try to have something like this. See how neat it is. So a good way of drawing a table. So in summary, results are about clarity and precision. Be objective. Don't try to speculate. Don't draw conclusions in the results. Always use past tense. Report complete statistics. Use tables strategically. They should be self-explanatory, focused, and should only have an essential data. So here I would like to acknowledge Gamma AI. I have used this AI tool to prepare few of my slides, and that much. So in the end, the result section represents more than data. It is our contribution to understand the research and make it count. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajshekhar Bipeta. It was a fantastic presentation, and we are also planning to submit some articles, and it was really very useful, whatever you told us. And and obviously, definitely, as even I'm as a reviewer for international journals also, it becomes very irritable when some things are repeated, like, same things what is told in the table again gets repeated in the text. So it becomes really annoying, like, and the word count also increases. So I think it's very important to spell out clearly. I think many people don't read the general instructions
True,
in
sir.
the given for the authors. Like, many people just override it because it's too much. What to
Yes,
focus on, like, so. When we even look at the international journals like PLOS and all, we just submitted recently, and what was published also, they're very, very finicky about each and every
correct, sir.
aspect. If you don't write certain things, they will return and say, "No, I'm sorry, please resubmit your article." And I had an experience with Journal of Quarterly Treatment in Alcoholism. My God, 2-3 times it was sent back because of grammatical errors. No, those days we didn't have AI to help us to write to modify the language, but it was very, very, they were very finicky about using
Correct, sir.
APA guidelines and all. So we couldn't buy APA guidelines, 6th edition that time, but I used whatever was available resources that point in time, but at last it was published. So I think some journals are very finicky about the rules and regulations which we need to follow. So I think it's very important that we stick to what clear guidelines have been given by each journals, and as much as possible to give the best professional kind of an uh, the language, everything should be pakka. I think that is what was important. It's very important. So I think let's take one question which has come up. I think Dr. Somesh Anand Patana has asked a question. Which format, table or figure, communicates the results more effectively?
Yeah, Dr.
Go ahead,
Somesh,
sir.
basically, yeah. Dr. Somesh, it basically depends as to what we want to present. Suppose there's a huge data. I have shown, for example, when we had talking about demographics. Suppose it is for example, you want to show the data. It is about age between 18 to 65, and now you have divided that data 18 to 28, 28 to 38, and all that. I think it will be, if you put that in figure format, it becomes too clumsy. So for such data, I'm just giving one example. So in principle, ages and all that should be better put in text, but I'm just giving one example. So such thing, if you want to decide whether to use age or table or figure, better to put in table form only. But for example, I was talking about these trends, like with time, how did the HAM-D scores change? Is it coming down, or is it severity is increasing? Then better probably we can use figures. So depends on the thing we are actually addressing.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. Like, no. So, like trends and
Yeah. Yes.
like, for
Yes, sir.
example, survival analysis. No, it's better to present by figures rather than by tables.
Yeah.
That communicates
Yeah.
properly what exactly what you're trying to say. I also have to confess that no, our thesis system is still not better, I feel, because if you see
Yeah.
most of our thesis, it is complete duplication. They will present the data in a table and also put a pie chart and say the same information. So I think if we can suggest to the university also to say that no duplication should not happen, and in fact, thank God it is now more digital than earlier. What we used to have printouts, no, we used to have bulky printouts of all the thesis.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a waste of time, money, and even for the reviewers, it's a painstaking aspect to review all those things. So I think
Correct.
no, we also have to evolve in terms of thesis. It is not the number of papers you are presenting in the thesis; it's the content and actual quality, which is very, very important. And
Yeah.
so, in this day and age of plagiarism and other aspect, in fact, my own thesis was plagiarized. The best part is it came to Dr. Ashok, who was the
Oh,
actual guide. So, I don't want to say
okay.
which university, but for confidentiality reasons. And we wrote to the university and said that this is a plagiarized whole ditto table wordings, everything was plagiarized. So I don't know how they could get the data, but we have to be very careful. I think now the Rajasthan
Yes, sir.
University is very strict. They have a very good system where nobody can copy paste any thesis.
Yeah,
Can
one
we
more
have
thing is
some more
about this.
questions? Yeah.
Yeah. No, even correlations.
Go ahead, sir. Go
For
ahead, sir.
example, So correlations also, if we want to show how, for example, with cognitive remediation, how the cognitive functioning is, whether it is improving or decreasing, that also probably we can show. I'm just giving an example. Correlation also can be shown in the form of figures instead of tables. Yeah.
Doctor, I think Apurva has asked a question. You mentioned we should not put citations in table. If you want to give a summary of a topic in table of format from 2 to 3 sources, should we not include citation there?
Yeah. No, see, because mostly what I have talked about today is about the original articles. But for example, if you are doing a review article, there things may a bit change. Even for example, systematic review and meta-analysis, definitely we have to put citations within the table. But most of my presentation today was actually focused on original articles, because most of us are actually interested in, for promotions and all that, we want OS
Original
only.
articles.
Yeah. For review articles, systematic reviews, there is no issue about putting citations. I think that is what you're telling, Dr. Apurva. Just let me read it. Yeah. So if you want to put a summary of a topic in tabular format, yeah. So that is not a results basically, but you are trying to summarize something. That's not an issue. No problem. But
So,
mostly
and one more, I think,
yeah,
problem you will face is people just copy pasting from SPSS directly and putting it up like no. So I
yeah,
think they need to. Everybody should know that no SPSS gives you a lot of outputs, but it's very important to uh, actually create a table by ourselves, like no,
yeah,
and incorporate a lot of important things into that. I learned it very in a beautiful way from our mentors, like no, who took classes on how to actually interpret, how to interpret whatever SPSS gives. There are a lot of classes available. So it will be nice if everybody undergoes those kind of sessions, understand how to use SPSS. I know it is costly, but now we have Jamovi and other aspects. It's easier. Life is made very easy. Constructing a table itself is an art. And the figure also, I learned a lot of suggestions given by reviewers, like in international journals. They suggest, why don't you create like this type of kind of a table would be better, or a figure would be better. So sometimes taking reviewers, sometimes people feel annoying when reviewers give you comments, but actually they have read your article. They know what is the essence of it and how it can be actually portrayed. So actually in my career, most of my reviewers, when they have given suggestions, I've really taken it up very seriously and built on it. And actually the quality of uh, uh, the manuscript actually improves actually. So I think we should take it positively and go ahead. And that really improves our quality of our manuscript.
Yeah. One more thing, sir, what happens is when we import the data from SPSS, it capture that might be very important for the analysis, but we don't need it in a manuscript. All unnecessary details
Correct.
come
It's
here.
not required.
It becomes
A lot of
not
unnecessary
required.
things are there.
Yeah, it becomes
It's
very
only
complicated.
how clearly the important aspect we need to show cause. But the problem is students don't know that. Like, no, they just copy paste, and even for our thesis also, the same thing they copy paste. And we have to tell them, no, that is not the way to present. You have to write it like this. P values have to be presented, and how to make a table, we teach them actually. Even a postgraduate who just comes out, they even don't know how to create a table. So it's very important that, as teaching institutes, we teach them how to actually build a table, how to build a figure, what are the components of that figure, and even in a table, what should be the footnote, how should the title be written. So many people don't know even how to do that. So it's very important that whenever we get an opportunity to teach them, like.
One more thing, Dr. Apurva has asked, what is the best way to showcase the social demographic results? It's better to put it in the text only instead of tables and figures. Like I was telling, no, like the mean age of the participants was 31.2 plus minus 2.3 years, and the males predominated 70%. So again, putting all this into tabular format actually consumes a lot of space does not actually make much sense sometimes. But sometimes, okay, the real suppose it's an epidemiological study where demographics really matter very much, then probably we can display it in a tabular format. So it depends on our research question, depends on what our manuscript is about. Yeah.
Yes, 100% correct what you said. And I actually wanted to highlight on qualitative studies also. I think many times, there are a lot of big tables you get in qualitative research. I think those things can be added as supplementary materials, because people can access that anytime, because it congests the actual what you want to say. So definitely having it as supplementary material will be really helpful actually. If I think there are no more questions, I think we can conclude. Any one message which you feel, sir, anything which can help our audience? Can you just give one message which is very important, you feel, the closing
No,
remarks?
I think, yeah. So the most important closing remark, which I think most of the manuscript writing workshops or sessions say is, author instructions, read it like a Bible. That is the most important take-home message. Many of us don't read the author instructions.
Yes.
That is
Yes,
what it is.
100%.
Yes.
I think that's a message for all of us also, even who are publishing articles. Many times we overwrite some things, but a lot of things have come up now that AI, ChatGPT, going through IJPM, also those regulations have come in. So it's very important to read those aspects and address those issues are very important, actually. I think that's a great suggestion which given by you, sir. So I hand it over back to
I think Dr. Rangnath,
Dr. Ravindra.
Dr. Rangnath Kulkarni has a question.
Yeah, Dr.
Is it
Rangnath has asked another question. Yeah.
Is it necessary to present beta coefficients
Is it
and
necessary
standard
to
errors?
present
Yeah.
in logistic regression table in addition to p-values, odds ratio, and 95% confidence intervals?
Okay, sorry, I'm not very much aware of this. I think standard errors.
I can answer, sir.
Yeah, please, sir, please.
So usually standard errors are not required, but beta coefficients is very important.
Needed.
P-values are very important, odds ratios, and 95% confidence interval. So those things are definitely important. You can even actually neglect the beta coefficient also, but at least odds ratios are there. That is enough. Odds ratios, P-values, and 95% confidence intervals is very important.
So p-values, ORs, and that's what we had discussed earlier also. P-values definitely should be presented, but not as less than or more than. It should be equal to ORs, and all that should be odds ratio, and all that should be presented. 95% confidence interval, because in RCPC, sir actually very clearly tells Dhanesh sir how to write CI, confidence interval. So all these see definitely about, but I was not aware of this beta coefficient standard. So you are saying, sir, beta coefficient should be presented?
No, sir, not exactly.
Not needed.
Beta coefficient and standard errors comes as part of the analysis. So I think it's not required, actually.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Vijay, for inviting me. Frankly, like, it was a little difficult topic for me, but then I thought I took a challenge and then thought I could let me learn new things. So that's recently I have started doing that. So I'm trying to, rather than a topic which is actually I'm more comfortable with, I'm taking those topics which I find difficult so that I can also learn.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
It was a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. I mean, I also learned a lot of things in your presentation. I hand it over back to Apurva. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Bipeta, sir, for explaining the heart of the manuscript, the results section topic in such an easy, practical way, and telling us the mistakes which we commonly do. Hopefully, now when we submit, we don't repeat those mistakes again and keep it as paka as possible. Thank you, Johnson, sir, for moderating seamlessly and giving your own expert opinions as well. I request Narayan Mutalik, sir, now, Secretary IPS-KC, for say a few words for today's session.
Thank you very much, sir, Dr. Rajshekhar Bipeta, for your excellent and insightful session today. It was very much clear, and your practical guidance on writing the result section has truly added immense value to our ongoing journey of strengthening our research and publication skills within our fraternity. And I too learned a lot today. I also got to know today only about mentioning results for quantitative and findings for qualitative items. And we are very much grateful for your time and expertise and continued support to Psychiatry Spectrum and IPS-KC. I would also like to thank our moderator, Dr. Johnson Pradeep, sir, for steering the discussion seamlessly and ensuring that the today's session remained focused, engaging, and relevant. This Wednesday Scholarly Manuscript writing series is part of our long-term capacity building initiative under the able leadership of Dr. Vijay Kumar Harbishettar, sir, Editor-in-Chief of Journal of Psychiatry Spectrum. And special appreciation to all attendees for joining this evening, for your thoughtful questions and for your commitment to continuous learning. We hope today's session empowers you to approach your manuscripts with greater clarity, confidence. So we look forward to seeing you again in the upcoming session, as Harbishettar sir quoted in the chat box. Next week we have Mariam Phillips' presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Dr. Apurva.
Thank you, sir. Requesting Honorary Editor of Journal of Psychiatric Spectrum, Dr. Vijay, to share your thoughts on today's session.
Yeah. Sorry, I was returning from after meeting Professor TSSO, as I already mentioned, so could not be there. But throughout the session, most of the presentation. I was definitely part of it. I listened. I think Professor Bipeta did make it very easy. It was very useful. I'm sure this many people could not attend. I am not sure why, but the recording will be there. I think that will be useful for them, and this will also help submitting articles to our journal. Now, for me, now that many people have not attended, even I reject if they call me or something, or if they bump on me, or I can definitely tell them that I think you should have attended this
Yeah.
presentation. So I have a
Dr.
reason
Vijay,
now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Dr. Vijay, sorry to interrupt. See,
please.
in and out, I think you are also getting requests. I am also getting requests. See, I'm never
Mm,
bothered about the number of attendees. But having said that,
mm,
people always complain that we do not train, that we are not doing peer mentoring and all that. But when you're really
mm.
doing, people are not attending. So you have
Not
put in
attending,
so
yes.
much of effort. IPS-KC has put in
Yes,
so much of effort on a busy, I think today's Wednesday, weekday. So
yeah.
most of the people, so
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I have a reason. If somebody calls me or somebody asks me, somebody comes in front of me and asks me, look, you need to, we have
Yeah.
there is a
Sir,
general
just sorry to interrupt you again.
please, please,
My
please,
can I say a small word? It's a suggestion actually.
please, 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 sir.
So you all put so much of effort. We also put effort. I mean, no, we all do a great work. Like, no, we have gone out of our level to help our postgraduates, but they are not attending. I think we should take it very seriously. My personal request to Dr. Ravindra Munoli and the IPS-KC, we should make this mandatory for all the postgraduates. They have to attend it. If they don't attend, I think we should take it seriously. Don't allow them to present in, let them not present in a scientific fora, especially IPS-KC. Let's record this. Let record their attendance because these are serious things. If you don't learn, you'll never learn in your lifetime, sir. So it's my humble request if you can do it, let them take it seriously. And how much effort it is to call all the faculty members and teach this. Who will teach, sir, nowadays? Nobody will do that. And it's a great learning,
Yeah,
even for me, it is a great learning. But at least for the postgraduate, make it compulsory. They should attend at least maybe in a year, 5 sessions, 6 sessions. Let them attend it and make it compulsory so that when they present in our fora, in IPS case, KC conferences, CANSIPs, let it be very clearly evident that they have attended these courses.
absolutely. I think we
Thank you,
need to
sir.
take it
That's all.
serious. Sir, one more reason, Dr. Rajshekhar, I think that editors feel that they need to reject is, I think, out of frustration, because when you see the original article, then when you see this requires tremendous change, if we see, and there's no way where to start, where to end, and how to get it communicated to that author or authors to get it changed out
yeah,
of frustration and say, no way, I'm not bothered because I need time for myself also. So that is where one more reason I felt I thought
correct,
I'll share. Uh,
correct.
Dr. Vipeta, thank you for being with us. It's great.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
inviting.
Thanks,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Johnson, Pradeep, for agreeing, and I should thank Apurva and Ravindra to taking it forward. But yeah, attendance is not great,
It's okay.
unfortunately.
No
But
issues.
definitely the recording will be there. So this is where we ensure that the recording is there and we don't miss it. But it will be a very good piece of what do you call a recording
Resource. Definitely
yeah,
a very
discourse.
good resource.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Good night.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Thank you.
sir.
Bye.
Actually, like how you said, this I feel sad for people who are not able to attend this because this was actually one of the most useful sessions which we've had. Most of us do not know how to write a result section, which is actually the main part of the manuscript. So it's very sad for people who could not attend this because they cannot ask questions like this one-on-one when sir is available. And so many of our editors are available here. They did not get an opportunity to ask questions. So it's their bad luck, I suppose.
No
I
issues.
request Dr. Anil Kumar to please say a few words for today, who's president of IPS Karnataka chapter. Anil sir, are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good
Thank
evening,
you.
all.
Good evening.
Bipeta, sir, as you truly mentioned, results are the heart of a scientific paper. So there are a lot of information that we could gather today from your session. starting from the purpose of reporting the findings and why the editors reject, and the thesis writing versus manuscript writing, and the principles of organizing the tables. Some of the tips like past tense, writing in past tense and in active voice, and like how we coin it as results for quantitative and findings for qualitative studies. So a lot of informations we could get. Yeah, it's a loss for a lot of students, especially today. The participation is low. Anyway, we will be uploading the recording, and it's nice to see all the three, the legendary editors at different levels. Dr. Rao was there from the National Journal, and our resource person himself from Zonal, and Vijay Kumar, our Rajshekhar, our own editor. And so it was very useful information for all of us. And I thank both the resource persons, the chair and the speaker, for taking up some time to spend with us today and share your knowledge. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Anil sir. Ravindra sir, any final words from your side, please?
Nothing, because most of the things have been commented. One thing what Johnson sir mentioned was about presentation in conferences and also. When we see the posters, papers, and all, the tables are literally horrible, because posters, what they put and what they not put, so many mistakes are there. It becomes very difficult, because we have to give feedback to them to every time, like for every poster, every paper. It becomes a very tedious job for the
Yes, sir.
scientific committee in charges. So probably, even if they're not attending, at least let them go through these recordings. Once we are
Correct.
done with compilation, we can share it with all the HODs, so that they can share it in their department
Sure, sir.
groups, so that the postgraduates can go through these tables. And today's session, as
No, it
mentioned,
will save a
was
lot of
extremely.
time, even for the
Yes, sir.
guides.
Yes,
Even for
sir.
the guides, like we face a lot of difficulty, like in the final moment, they says they don't know how to create a table. We can learn all these things.
Yes, sir.
You don't
Yes, sir.
need extra hours to sit and discuss with them. Like,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you.
Rajesh sir, and
Good night.
thank
sure.
you, sir,
Thank you,
and thank you,
thank you,
everyone.
Rajshekhar sir. Thank you for
Good
that
night. Thank
wonderful
you so
talk.
much. Good night, sir.
Sure. Bye.
Good night.
Yeah,
Good night,
good
Dr.
night.
Babu.
Thank-
Bye. Bye.
Thank you all, everyone, once again. And thank you, Rajshekhar sir, Johnson sir, for today's session. I think we can close today's session now. Good night,
Okay.
everyone.
Good night.